we talk a lot on this program about the 1950s and the 1960s, about how much stronger the middle class was in those days, about how much stronger the union movement was in those days, about how you could raise a family on one income in those days and send your kids to school, do all the things you needed to do. What we have talked about, but not nearly enough, is the fact that that American dream was closed off to enormous segments of the population, that that was largely a white American dream, and that African Americans and Hispanics and other minority groups were often excluded from the opportunities given to the white middle class of that time. Now, we've also not talked nearly enough. While we've talked about how great it was that we had robust federal infrastructure programs, that we built the federal highway system and so on, that our states and cities also invested in highways and other forms of infrastructure. What we also haven't talked about nearly enough is the effect of these programs on our African American communities across the country. Now, the Secretary of Transportation, Anthony Foxx, has been doing a very interesting thing in the last few days. He's been talking about this other side of our highway legacy. Anthony Foxx, by the way, is the former mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina. He is himself African American. He brings a different and very valuable perspective to this whole issue of highway spending. He spoke at the Center for American Progress. He also spoke to, I believe it was the Charlotte Rotary Club. Yes, the Charlotte, North Carolina Rotary Club about this very issue. As Secretary Foxx says, I really believe this is an issue that has been on the shelf collecting dust for a long time. Now, those of us who come from the New York City area know that the highway building in that city after World War II decimated a lot of lower income ethnic neighborhoods of various kinds, including African American. But this is the first time that it's been said from somebody with the kind of pulpit that the transportation secretary has. The Washington Post called his emphasis on this issue unprecedented, or he said it appears unprecedented. He says that growing up in Charlotte, he knew that he couldn't get from one part of his neighborhood to another because it had been torn apart by expressways and overhead roads. He said, I grew up living with those barriers, even though I had no idea how they came to be or what they meant. But what he is telling us and reminding us that they meant was that too often urban development has been an excuse for decimating minority neighborhoods. Or as Aretha Franklin sang once, urban renewal means urban removal. It was a way to make our cities more white. We need to remember this part of our legacy as well going forward.